good? Hey there. I just recorded 2 episodes back to back, a free one and a premium one for my, dual birthday special. And after finishing both of them, I have decided to switch them up. So I'm going to give myself a few hours of extra work here and try to chop these together. So this, if you're watching this, may be the freemium or it may be the premium. The freemium one is now about Dave Matthews Band shitting on strangers. And then the premium one is going to be about UFOs and Nikola Tesla and stuff like that. So hopefully, I don't know how this editing is going to turn out, but that's what's up. All right, here's the show. Welcome to That Birthday Thing with James. I'm your host, James, and this is a birthday episode. I've got a birthday coming up on December 15th. I almost told the year. That's 1987. That's the year I was born. I'll be turning 34. Holy shit. And that causes me anxiety for reasons I may get into. But anyway, hi. Welcome to the show. If you're new, hi. This is a chill zone. Maybe you were looking for something random to watch. Maybe you were looking for this show. Maybe you were just saw this and were curious what it's about. Well, it's kind of about everything and anything and nothing. It's just a hangout. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Why don't you settle down? Or wait, unless you're driving, maybe don't settle down too much. But hey, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to the show. Yeah, December 15th, I have my 34th birthday. And, well, man, a lot of stuff has changed since my last birthday. Did I ever, make an official birthday episode? I don't know if I ever recorded one that's, in the title, birthday episode, but here's a birthday episode. Here it is. Hey, it's going to be my birthday. See, I'm recording this on Sunday, and I release it on Friday, and then the following, I think, Wednesday is my birthday. So, math, not my strongest suit, and that's okay, because I'm really good at words. What was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. So, a lot of stuff has changed. What happened? Around this time last year, I was living in a different city, in a different state, certainly in a different apartment, a much smaller apartment in Austin, Texas. And then the ice storm happened and, wiped out my home. And I chose that as a time to just leave Austin because I felt like the city had run its course. And so I lived with family for a while, 6 months. And then I got a place in Tulsa, and that's where I'm recording now. And while Austin had, I felt, run its course, I don't even know what the fuck's up with Tulsa. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing here, but I'm here and I'm recording the show for you. And let's see, I wonder if I have any wisdom to part on my 34th birthday. I can tell you my life is a lot different than I expected it would be, than I predicted it would be. A lot different. And I certainly didn't predict a pandemic. That kind of came out of left field. But, it happened. We're all affected by it. And, most of us were affected by it. And I guess just try to survive and don't settle is my advice as I close in now on turning 34. Yeah. Don't settle. That's it. That's not to say don't settle down, but don't put up with more bullshit than you have to. I think that's what I've certainly learned. As someone who has put up with a lot of bullshit, let me tell you, recognize the bullshit and don't put up with it, including your own bullshit. Don't put up with your own bullshit. You know, there's only so many I'm sorries before I'm sorry loses its meaning. You gotta fucking do something. You can't just say I'm sorry and then keep doing the same toxic shit. So that's my advice. Don't settle. Always learn. And read Dune. That's it. And check out the Denis Villeneuve movie. So yeah, that's my birthday advice. I'm going to share this story with you. It's one of my favorite stories. And it's about the Dave Matthews Band pooping on a bunch of people. Let's get into it. Let's start with this Chicago Tribune article written by Angela Rosas and Brett McNeil. The title is 15 years ago today, a Dave Matthews Band tour bus dumped human waste on a tour boat in the Chicago River. Here's our original report. And this article came out August 8th, 2019, and it reads, Editor's note. 15 years ago, a Dave Matthews Band tour bus passing over the Chicago River unleashed a torrent of foul-smelling waste onto a tour boat and passengers below. At the time, nobody knew who was responsible for the dumping, but the Chicago Tribune was the first to report it based on interviews with passengers. Including a Tribune reporter and the tour boat company. The incident would eventually be connected to the band and criminal charges, apologies, and at least one lawsuit would follow. Read the original story and see additional coverage below. All right, let's get into this shit. At the outset, excuse me. At the outset of a Chicago River boat tour Sunday, Captain Sonja Lund deadpanned that passengers should not look up with their mouths open when passing under the city's graded bridges, lest they get the true quote-unquote taste of Chicago. About 15 minutes later, passengers got more than that. They got a deluge when the boat was doused with a foul liquid substance that appeared to drop from one or two charter buses as the boat passed under the Kinsey Street Bridge, passengers and tour officials said. Witnesses said they had just begun the Chicago Architecture Foundation's 1 p.m. tour. When witnesses said that they'd just begun the Chicago Architecture Foundation's 1 p.m. tour when they passed under the bridge in a cascade of quote-unquote brownish yellow substance, oh God, rained on them. 2/3 of the passengers seated on the upper deck of Chicago's Little Lady were soaked. Passengers said they looked up to see at least one, possibly two charter buses rumbling above. A volunteer tour guide at the boat's helm reassured passengers that they had been splashed with water. But the foul smell prompted suspicion. There was a, quote, sudden silence initially, then this sort of horrible realization as they began to smell themselves as to what happened, said Steedman Bass, 35, of Boston, who was a passenger on the boat but was not sprayed. Quote, it was horrific. Passengers shouted that police should be called and demanded the boat be turned around. Within minutes, the tour headed back to the dock at Michigan Avenue and the lower Whacker. Within minutes, the tour headed back to the dock at Michigan Avenue and Lower Whacker Drive, speeding as fast as the boat would go, Lund said. Some passengers became sick from the smell and made use of the boat's lower deck bathrooms, Bass said. At the dock, the 120 passengers disembarked and were given refunds for the $25 tickets, exchanges, or open-ended tickets for hours later. Some were given cab fare to get back to hotels, and some passengers' dry cleaning bills will be paid, Foundation officials said. The boat's crew swabbed the deck clean and set off only slightly delayed for the 3 p.m. tour. Quote, we feel very badly for these people who have had this day's event ruined, said Bastien Beaumont, vice president of marketing and tours for the foundation. In 50 years of operation, the tour has never experienced something like this, he said. Quote, obviously, this wasn't our fault, but we were just trying to make it as comfortable for the passengers as possible. Bowman said that he was told someone recorded license plate numbers from the bus or buses and reported the plates to the police. He said he hoped to know the name of the company by Monday morning and would demand the company's buses be inspected for defects. Quote, tomorrow morning, we'll find out what buses were involved and hopefully we'll get some answers, he said. Police confirmed a report had been made, but it was not being investigated as a crime. A local tour bus company official said he had never heard of a bus unloading liquid waste into the river from a bridge. Charter bus companies typically contract with disposal companies to get rid of their waste or dump it at their own disposal sites, he said. Passengers were shocked, so they said, at the awful timing of the improbable hit. Quote, if you tried to orchestrate this, it would be an almost impossible scenario, Bass said. And that's the end of that article. So at this point, they don't know that the DMB had just dumped on them. Let's see what this other article says here. This one is 15 years after the Dave Matthews Band let loose. This is also in the Chicago Tribune. Let loose over the Chicago River, we survey the damages and uncover a new victim by Steve Johnson. This was published August 9th, 2019. It was a shock 15 years ago this week that a bus driver for the Dave Matthews Band toggled a switch that opened a tank and sent a torrent of the kind of human waste generated during a rock and roll tour onto the open grating of the Kinsey Street Bridge. What happened beneath the bridge over the North Branch of the Chicago River has been well documented. People enjoying one of the city's top tourist attractions, the high-minded river cruise of the Chicago Architecture Foundation, took a direct hit from almost holy shit. Wow. 800 pounds of earth-toned slurry flecked with bits of toilet paper, a mixture ranker than a porta-potty on a rock festival's third straight 90-degree day. They never got to finish the architecture tour that day, but they did learn a thing or two about forgive this, flying buttresses. There was a quote-unquote stunned silence initially, a boat passenger told the Tribune at the time, then a sort of horrible realization. What happened in the culture was swift, also visceral, and surprisingly long-lasting. The Dave Matthews Band lost a little bit of its environmental luster. This group, whose Ben & Jerry's flavor donated proceeds to combat climate change in the early 2000s, was now also, and seemingly forever, an internet punchline about attempted river pollution gone awry. It also had to admit that it toured in 5 separate buses, and the culprit vehicle was the one used by the band violinist Boyd Tinsley. Side note, a sign you've made it as a rock band is when you not only have a full-time violinist, but that violinist has his own tour bus. The web went a little wacky and wry fecal references, quote, I assume he was aiming for the poop deck, and creative new ways to put down Matthews' new music. Still the best DMB release of all time. Agreed. It hasn't been able to resist dredging up this story since. Last year, some news outlets even published 14-year anniversary stories as if it marked a year not divisible by 5 as a thing. Oh, Jesus. But for this year's actual commemorable anniversary, we have new information. What hasn't been widely shared before is that also in the vicinity of the bus, up on the Kinsey Street level, was another DMB victim. Dun, dun, dun. In the early afternoon of August 8, 2004, Lynn LaPlante Alloway was pregnant and driving out of the city with her husband and young son. Alloway, who now has 4 kids, lives in west suburban Glen Ellen with her family, and last year came very close to defeating incumbent Dan Cronin for DuPage County Board Chairman. Back then, she said, she was a perpetually nauseous expectant mother, easy for me to read, which meant 2 things. She was driving with the window open, oh my God, and any upset to the senses could send her stomach into tumbling ruins of Simone Biles. Quote, I always had to drive when I was pregnant because the slightest bit of motion and, the barfing would start, said Alloway, who's now 46 and works as a musician and freelance writer. I mean, this is such a gross story, right? But there was one good thing, beyond the result, of course, about her unsettled pregnancies, Alloway said. The hormones seemed to go straight to her hair. Quote, my husband was in the passenger seat, and then our little toddler, who's now 17, was sleeping in the back, she said. It was one of those beautiful days with the windows down, and I just remember feeling like, oh, wow, my hair looks amazing, long and curly. I was just full of self-admiration in the rearview mirror and bragging to my husband about my hair. And then I know there's a big bus, and then it was like instant horror, end quote. Here's where we pause for A, a content warning because the next section gets rough, and B, a physics lesson. Apparently, when you dump viscous liquid from a 100-gallon holding tank onto a grated surface, it doesn't filter instantly to the deck of the tour boat below. Enough of it stays behind to, say, cause a scene that would not be out of place in a Farrelly Brothers film. Shout out to the Farrelly Brothers. Quote, there was no mistaking what we rolled through, and it was all over our car, Alloway said. We had a Mercedes SUV, and it just got covered, and the smell hit. It was like a physical punch to the face is what the smell was like. It wasn't even, oh, I'm going to be sick. I just immediately started vomiting. So I'm trying to lean my head out the window so I'm not. So I'm trying to lean my head out the window so I'm not throwing up all over the car while I'm driving. It was just the most absurd thing. And of course, the window just blew it all right back onto me. And my husband is yelling, "Pull over, exit, exit." Eventually she did, but the bus waste tank smell remained with them on the sides of the car. Alloway Oh, excuse me. Alloway was crying and still retching as she and her husband switched seats. He drove to a car wash to clean the vehicle, and Alloway did what she could for herself with paper towels. It was a double shame because Alloway was dressed nicely on her way to perform at a wedding. Here's where the story takes an ironic turn. Like Tinsley, Alloway is a professional. Like Tinsley, Alloway is a professional violinist. She plays violin and viola with the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic and is the group's principal violinist. It was a violinist dumping on another violinist, she said. Alloway said it all happened so quickly that she didn't notice any markings on the bus or catch a license plate, which would have been useful in the court proceedings that were soon brought against the band. But when her friend Colleen called her the next day to laugh over the story in the newspaper about the tour boat getting waste dumped on it under the Kinzie Street Bridge, there was no doubt that Alloway was collateral damage to the soon-to-be notorious DMB poop dump incident. Videotape evidence from the nearby East Bank Club, a swanky gym, showed only one big bus crossing the Kinzie Street Bridge during the time when the dumping happened, and the fact and a license plate check were enough for investigators to pin the crime on the Tinsley bus, occupied only by driver Stefan Wall at the time, apparently on his way to pick up Tinsley from a Michigan Avenue hotel for a band concert at Alpine Valley in southern Wisconsin. At the August 25th press conference to reveal the videotape, Mayor Richard Daley called the dumping, quote, absolutely unacceptable, but also noted that he considers Matthews a very good band. Wall at first denied the dumping, and the band stood behind him while offering, in a statement posted on the band's website, to provide investigators DNA evidence. But in October, the band donated $50,000 each to the Chicago Park District and to the Friends of the Chicago River, quote, to begin the healing process, it said. And then here there's on this article, there's a picture of the bridge, and someone posted a sign, handwritten sign that says, in August 2004, at this very location, a DMB tour bus dumped 800 pounds of poo on some people. Hashtag never forget, hashtag always remember. God, I love Chicago. In March 2005, Wall of Texas pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges of reckless conduct and water pollution, although it's unclear if any waste actually made its way into the water. He was sentenced to 18 months of probation, 150 hours of community service, and a $10,000 fine to be donated to the Friends River Advocacy Group, and he stopped driving for the band. The following month, DMB settled a civil lawsuit that the state of Illinois had brought, paying $200,000 to be used toward environmental education. In exchange, the band did not have to admit guilt in court. That settlement came during the same season that Ben & Jerry's released its newest DMB flavor. Was it shit and piss? Tribune restaurant critic Phil Vitale pointed out that the flavor, Dave Matthews, oh my God, the flavor, Dave Matthews Band Magic Brownies, bore perhaps an overly evocative name, especially to Chicagoans. On the other hand, he said, it's a combination of vanilla ice cream, fudge brownie chunks, and raspberry swirly, arguably, quote unquote, represents progress on the unpleasant association metered over the DMB flavor it replaced: coffee, ice cream mixed with mocha swirls and fudge chunks. And that might have been the end of that. Except there's something so resonant about the story. The Schadenfreude of an environmental activist band caught dumping waste into a river. That group happening to be the Dave Matthews Band, the jammy outfit that's as passionately disliked by many as they are beloved by many more. The horrific bad luck of a tour boat. of a tour boat passing under the bridge at the absolute worst moment. On radio, it became a go-to topic for wacky morning zoo crews. For them, it's a story that has everything. Flying poop meets fame, meets innocent bystanders. Quote, the free beer and hot wings show, a nationally syndicated program out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, even had a man they said was Wall on the air for the 10-year anniversary. I was unable to reach him for this piece. In a too brief interview, Wall seemed to suggest he was just the fall guy, and he floated a second black bus theory. Oh my God, there's a theory? Okay. The show hosts weren't having it, though. The segment ended with one saying, quote, he's the guy who dumped all that crap on people. Maybe by next year he'll admit it, end quote. For Alloway, it became kind of a funny family story, and a memory to recall when her local Glen Ellen side project named When her local Glen Ellen side project band, named Side Project, would suggest they play a DMB tune because, quote, it had a great violin part, end quote. She said she was, She said she has responded, I don't know about that. A few years back, motivated by the confluence of seeing that Matthews would be playing Alpine Valley again, and an incident where airplane waste landed on a Sweet 16 party, she laid out the whole story on her blog. The Day I Was Smote by God and the Dave Matthews Band. She headed it, the smiting referring to her vanity. Matthews continues to tour, of course. The band even held its own summer festival in Chicago on a lakefront site. I don't think they should be allowed near water in Chicago in 2011, but it ended after just the 1 year. Dave Matthews and lead guitarist Tim Reynolds will play Alpine Valley again in September as part of the sold-out Farm Aid show. There is no longer a Dave Matthews Band Ben & Jerry's flavor, and the Chicago Architecture Foundation River Cruise continues as one of the city's most popular tourist attractions. But while Chicago may forgive, it does not forget. Indeed, in 2015, some dedicated historian went to the Kinzie Street Bridge and erected a homemade memorial beside a candle and a glass and a poster board sign that said, on August 2004, at this very location, a DMB tour bus dumped 800 pounds of poo on some people, The coup de grace was in the hashtags. Hashtag never forget. Hashtag always remember. Chicago Tribune, written by Steve Johnson. Wow. Holy shit. Well, I just thought I'd share that. Happy birthday to me. That's it. That's it for my birthday episode. If you did not know, I record and release one new bonus episode every week. I'm actually about to record the bonus episode after I'm finished recording this. So if you are not already a member of my Patreon, I invite you to become one. Go to patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames, and you will get access to the one new bonus episode I release every week and all of the back catalog of all the older recorded and released bonus episodes. It starts at $5 a month. It's only $5 for a whole month, and you get all those episodes plus a new one every week. And you also get to support an independent person. I don't know that I really consider podcast an art necessarily. I really don't know. Art could be done with it. I'm not sure if this is art. Patreon.com/ThatThingWithJames. I invite you to become a member. So bring it on. If you have any thoughts about today's subject, or if you have a suggestion for a different story or topic you would like me to cover on the show, or if you just want to say nice things to me, you can do so by sending me an email at thatthingwithjames@gmail.com. Hell, why not just email me happy birthday? thatthingwithjames@gmail.com. You can also find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. My handle on all three is @JamesJAsher. I have a subreddit that is just begging for your memes and shit posts. You can find that at r/thatthingwithjames, reddit.com/r/thatthingwithjames. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show if you're into it. Hey, and if you're new, if you want to stick around, welcome. That's it. I love you. I'll catch you next time. Bye.